inside Hilltopper Athletics, brought to you by Day and Night Heating and Cooling. Today we have a very special presentation, an extended coaches show with head football coach here at West Liberty University, Roger Wiley. Coach, welcome back to the show for one final time.
Thank you. I appreciate it, and it's now retired head football coach.
How happy are you that this is the final coaches show you have to do?
I'll miss it. It's all a lot of fun talking about the players and their accomplishments and how they were able to overcome some things. So I think that's what I'll miss the most about it. And missing you and Teresa and having the conversations we've had over the years and, knowing that we were the first school in the WVIAC or the MEC to have a TV coaches show versus, a lot of schools had radio ones or ones that they just had interviews, but we were truly the first school that went on TV and did a show, and I believe, started streaming them. Until this day, we're very few in our conference that do it.
And, you've been on the forefront from day one with that, and we have a lot of good stuff to talk about today. The Toppers had a tremendous season-ending game against Wheeling here at West Family Stadium, 68-67. The Toppers would win. Unbelievable back-and-forth ball game in this one. The Toppers had 783 total yards of offense. Cole Meisman at quarterback threw for 502 yards, 4 touchdowns. The fourth quarterback in West Liberty history to do so. The first since 2010, the Zach Amidro days, to surpass 500 yards. Hunter Patterson had 201 yards rushing, 5 touchdowns. That ties a school record. He added another touchdown through the air in a reception. The 6 total touchdowns is another school record. And the Toppers answered what Wheeling had all day and came up with a huge, huge touchdown on the last offensive play for West Liberty of the game.
Yeah, it was quite a performance by, and a lot of times the people that score get all the credit, but you look at what we did offensive line-wise, I thought that, to have that much yardage, they have to be doing something. They got to be giving us creases, giving us, occupying people, putting us in one-on-one situations. So first you got to commend the line. And then, I thought our receiving core and tight ends did a good job of everybody being a threat. That opened up Hunter, and I thought Cole distributed the ball well. It's obviously his best game that he's played at West Liberty. And then, and everybody's going to say, well, he gave up 67 points. Well, at the end of the day, they held him to 1 point less than we scored, and so that's a win. And so that's what, I'm not into the moral victories, and if we would have scored 61 or whatever we had and lost, I still would have been mad, and they would have been, well, you scored 61 points. It's the object of the offense is to score more than the defense, and all this of the defense is to keep them under. So, overall, it was a great way to go out for me and my family. And I was surprised about the number of people that flew in, showed up for the game. It was pretty overwhelming and somewhat shocking to me. I was kind of in like, really? You guys flew all the way here just for this? And it means a lot to me. It probably mean more down the line, but, it is what it is right now. It's time to go babysit and learn how to play golf again, I guess.
This game being such a high-scoring game, back and forth again, West Liberty able to answer every single time Wheeling put up some points. As an offensive coach, was it kind of fun to see this kind of performance in the final game?
Yeah, well, you got to remember I'm a head coach first. And, if I was the offensive coordinator, I'd be ecstatic and – but I got to look at it as the totality of the team. We, were able to overcome our special teams miscues, and we were able to overcome some timely penalties, and that's what this game is about, is to be able to withstand what's thrown at you, no matter if it's by the other team, the officials, and I was just happy for the kids, and you could see it in their eyes. They had that refuse to lose mentality, and even defensively. There were some kids that had some really good games. Obviously, Baranje getting player of the week had to do something special when you give up 67 points. And so, overall, happy with the outcome and, happy about the game.
For the Toppers, Hunter Patterson did get Offensive Player of the Week for the Mountain East Conference with the 201 rushing yards, 5 rushing touchdowns, 6 total touchdowns, and a 62-yard receiving touchdown. Also, Andre Horsley got Defensive Player of the Week in the Mountain East Conference. 6 total tackles, 1 sack, a fumble recovery, and helped at the very end to make sure that Wheeling would fall and West Liberty would get the win in Coach Wiley's final game. Again, with this one, I was going to kind of ask what the mentality at halftime, that refuse to lose. You kind of alluded to it, but I'm always interested in that kind of emotion in the football game, and it seemed like the team had it throughout.
Well, if I remember right, the only thing I said, listen, the last 3 or 4 weeks we've played 3 quarters, had the lead. I said, let's finish the last one. Let's play for this last 30 minutes and see how it comes out. That's all I said, before the game. I kept hearing a lot of talk. We want to win it for Coach. We want to win it for the seniors. And my pregame speech was, at the end of the day, you need to want to win for yourselves. I said, you don't want to win for me. You don't want to win for the seniors. You want to win for yourselves. That's the effort you should give, is what would you do personally to win the game. And so, I was happy that they played the way they did, and they had to refuse to lose and just kept fighting, scratching, clawing. And, I thought the discipline at times, we were very disciplined. At times we lost our head a little bit. So, but overall, the halftime speech was, let's see what happens if we play for 4. The last 30 minutes, and then we reminded them, going into the fourth quarter. I walked down the sideline and said, 15 minutes more. You got to play for 15 minutes more, and obviously we played for the whole time, other than when I told the defense let them score so we can get the ball back with some time. But it was overall great team win, and that's how you couldn't have scripted it any better, I don't think. If I had to write a script, and I could have called Coach Bernie and the officials and say, hey, this is how we want this to play out. You can't do this in this day and age. And obviously being an offensive-minded coach, and there's been times where we've put up 80 or something points before in a playoff game. We did, but I don't think we've ever put up this many points, gotten to the 60s, and the other team gotten to the 60s. Right. So it was a great college football game. Wheeling played their hearts out, and a game like that, from the coaching side, boy, you hate to see somebody lose, because there were so many great performances on each side of the ball, and we're just fortunate to come out on top.
And again, with these toppers, a huge victory for West Liberty. Got Coach Wiley his 101st victory in his final game as head coach. With that, we will take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll have a bit of a football life with Coach Roger Wiley here on Inside Hilltopper Athletics.
From humble beginnings in 1837, West Liberty University has been home to thousands of students. Whether you're a recent high school graduate or looking to complete a college degree later in life, starting your educational career at West Liberty University will be the catalyst for your future. This is a place where you will discover who you are and where you belong, surrounded by lifelong friends and a supportive faculty and staff. Start your journey home at westliberty.edu.
Welcome back to Inside Hilltopper Athletics. This segment we will continue with our, I guess you could say, a football life with Coach Wiley and his final coaches show here at West Liberty University. Coach, I always want to ask all the coaches and athletes here at West Liberty, what kind of made your love for sports begin when you were a kid?
I don't know, because I came from a musical family. My dad was a musician. My mom was an accountant. I think it was just growing up in the house in Hawaii and having so many cousins, and we'd be at our grandma's house. And, back then we didn't have video games. We didn't have much other than a ball. And so we played football, basketball, and we didn't have it. Probably my grandma didn't trust us with a bat, because we'd probably beat each other. But so that's probably when it started, is just being around my other cousins and being able to play football and occupy our time, whether it was out in front of our house on the Coral Road or if it was 6 blocks down the street at the beach. We were constantly playing a sport, and I think that's what ingrained in me, and I had success with it. And then as I got older, my uncles would coach, obviously they were musicians also, but their love for football or basketball was immense. And, my dad never coached me other than to give me personal advice. And when I'd complain about his brothers coaching me, and I'd listen, he said, listen or don't play. So I don't really know exactly when I knew I wanted to coach, in high school. In baseball, I broke my hand my senior year, and I couldn't play half of the year. And I came back for the playoffs, but the coach, strong and outplayed me. He said, "Hey, why don't you coach it instead of not coming around?" He goes, "We'll make you the first base coach." And probably being with Don Turner, I needed another semester to graduate from college, and came back. He said, "Hey, you know the offense as well as I do. Why don't you coach the offense, coach quarterbacks?" And so so I don't know the exact moment, but probably all the combination of all those things decided, boy, this ain't a bad thing. And then and mostly from Don Turner is when he see, coaching's not all about just the X's and O's. You're going to have an influence over a young man's life, whether it's positive or negative. And he says in small college football, you have more in effect because a lot of these kids wouldn't graduate, wouldn't go to college at all. So a combination of all those things made me realize what was important, wasn't, not important. And, as a coach, and especially in this stage, because of the money tied in and everything, it's all about winning and losing. There's no effect on a young man's life because the NIL is going to change his life more than him getting a degree now. And so, all those things have to play a factor if you want to get in this position and do it the right way. But those are the things that were important to me. And even the kids that came back from the 2005, they had my wife crying. Hey, if it wasn't for him and the coaching staff, and I'm not going to take all the credit, but I'd have never graduated college. I was ready to drop out and go get a job working construction. Now I've got a job doing this. And so those, I guess, are the stories and things that made it all worthwhile for me.
And growing up, I'm sure you had some favorite teams, favorite players, things of that nature. Were there some certain athletes that were big influences on you when you were growing up?
Well, and sometimes coaches, and it's ironic that John McKay is from here, but, growing up on the West Coast, SC football was the biggest thing. And even in Hawaii, it was a big deal to get off the rock and get a scholarship in SC. When somebody was worthy enough, they did recruit them and try to get them there. And so, and it wasn't heavily recruited when I was growing up, and then it became heavily recruited once I got into high school and into college. But I would say most influential as a coach would be John McKay. And then, obviously you got the players that played at SC. Some more of them, and then I think one of the first football games I went to in the Coliseum was the Rams versus the Chiefs, and so I became a Chiefs fan because everybody was rooting for the Rams. And John Brody was the quarterback. Not John Brody. Len Dawson. Len Dawson was a quarterback, and so I was a big fan of Len Dawson. And I think I got to be a fan of John Brody because he was with the 49ers for a while, but he was an avid golfer. And I was forced to play golf at a young age, and so I kind of like both sports. But no, probably Coach McKay. I'd go to his football camps. He'd have them at Occidental College, and those were a lot of fun. So, and then, you look at John Wooden. I went to he went to his basketball camps a few times. So, it's more of the coaches that you experience, like you're going to laugh at this. My high school defensive coordinator, when you're young, hey, did you ever play pro football? What was your story? He goes, well, I played for a team called the Wheeling Ironmen. I was like, what? And I remember this to this day, his Wheeling Ironmen. And I remember when I got to Wheeling and I took the job at Bethany, and it wasn't so much so, but when I got to West Liberty, I learned more about the Wheeling Ironman, and I had to call the kids that we played high school football that we used to make fun of Coach Holtz about playing professional football. I had to tell them, "Well, this was real." And they said, "What?" I said, "This was real." He said he played for the Wheeling Ironman. It was big time football back then. And so it's just, looking at those types of things and where I ended up, and that's what was kind of ironic about things, or a small world, and that made it. And then Coach Holtz did come out to a couple of our football games and visit the stuff they had down at the Civic Center, and so it was kind of neat. And he goes, "Boy, I've been here since I played for the Ironman." And I said, "Boy, I couldn't apologize enough to him." As a kid was like, "The Wheeling Iron, who ever heard of the Wheeling Ironman?" He didn't play for the Steelers, or it was one of those things. And so just the funny things that tied things together that got me to Wheeling, and it just, even with Mary and Karen. And then Randy World shows me a book of a history of Ogilvy and shows Karen 5 years old dressed up in a hula outfit. And so, I did marry a girl from the island, just a different island, Wheeling Island instead of the island of Hawaii. So, no, it's been a good ride and a lot of great memories. But you sit back and you think about, wow, how did I end up here from Hawaii or California, where I went to high school? And it's just crazy how things mesh together when you look at some things and say, "Boy, that was that a sign back then?" And
meant to be.
Yeah, me making fun of Coach Holtz for playing for the Wheeling Ironmen, and they were a big time football. I was like, "Oh, that kind of is a story that sticks in my mind."
Well, Coach, we're going to take another quick break, and we'll be right back for more, folks. We'll talk about his career here at West Liberty University when we return on Inside Hilltopper Athletics.
From humble beginnings in 1837, West Liberty University has been home to thousands of students. Whether you're a recent high school graduate or looking to complete a college degree later in life, starting your educational career at West Liberty University will be the catalyst for your future. This is a place where you will discover who you are and where you belong, surrounded by lifelong friends and a supportive faculty and staff. Start your journey home at westliberty.edu.
Inside Hilltopper Athletics. Coach, we'll jump right into this. You had a great playing career as a college athlete. You made the Dubuque Hall of Fame as an athlete there in your time as a player. Quickly got into coaching, spent a little time in Germany, came back. Once you got up to West Liberty as an assistant, you took over in 2005, became head coach, had some great success with a very, very good group of players in that mid to late 2000s.
Yeah, and that's going to be the high point as far as being on the field stuff, is what we're able to do, go to the playoffs in 2009, compete for conference championships back then, and then, the wheels kind of fell off. And, at times I was thinking about getting out earlier, but, you look at the effect that we've had on some young men's lives off the field more than on the field. And, and I've been a positive person, as far as I didn't want to, the negative part was the losing. I'm not going to lie and make excuses for it, but the positive part of it is watching the kids excel, and not excel, but just get their degrees and have an opportunity at a better life for themselves. And that's been the thing. And that was told, it was hard. Not for me, not winning all the time. And I went to a couple of the presidents and tried to explain, hey, if we can do this, I think we can get back on track. And, I had a couple of them tell me straight to my face, we don't care if we win or lose. We want 100 guys on the roster. And it kind of is a snowball effect. It could just everything we tried to do to get it back, couldn't. I mean, it went from trying to get everybody to practice to, trying to control the cost somewhat. And But I never tried to step outside of my realm and dictate to somebody. I asked the question, can we do this to help? And both presidents, they were not worried about the wins and losses. All we're worried about is this and, to this. And I was athletic director, and I didn't even ask myself, but, there's only, Robin Capehart came in and said, what do we need to do to win? How can we win? But other than that, nobody else has ever asked that question. And on the administration, and I think that was the only negative part for me of the job, because as a whole, West Liberty has been a great place to work. They've treated people the right, and at the end of the day, that's all you can do is treat people the right way, be loyal to people. And so that's the one thing I've always been loyal to the institution and put the institution's goals first. And if they would have differed than mine, and that's one thing when Dr. Greiner and they said, listen, we need these kids to have a good experience, and I try to tell them the good experience is winning football games, and there's more to life than winning football games. So they might have been looking at more of the business aspect than I was at the time, and so that was the toughest pill to swallow, I guess, is, you get that some institutions that they're going to do whatever it takes to win. And, I followed the philosophy of what they wanted done here, and they wanted to make sure that football had so many people on the roster so the school could make, because obviously it's not, if you have 100 guys aren't going to school for free. So those are the things that, sometimes I didn't disagree with. And even though I didn't disagree with it, I still held the company line, so to say, is that, all right, this is what we need to do. I tried to not let it affect the players. I tried to not let it affect the coaching staff. Really, I kept thinking I tried to be positive, and I said, listen, we control this. We got to coach them, and let's put ourselves in positions to win games, and that's it. And that's what we've tried to do, over the last 21 years. I mean, you take over a program that when I took over, we had 7 scholarships. And, the first 8 years were unbelievably successful as far as winning percentage. And then after that, it was a struggle. But, most of the people outside of the college aspect and outside of our program are going to judge me off wins and losses. That's fine, and I don't really care. It's more negativism in this world than anything else. But, as long as I can go home and go to sleep knowing I did the right thing by our players, that's all that matters to me.
Absolutely. And I mean, there's been a number, too many to actually name, number of players that you have that have become coaches themselves that have been influenced by you. And there's a couple, one at Wheeling Park at a high school right now. One is your offensive coordinator this past season. So you've had a lot of guys that you've had a huge influence on that they became coaches themselves.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a number in high school that are still in the playoffs that are coaching all over, all over the country. So to say, there's kids out in California nobody here knows about that are coaches. So, but no. But that's going to happen at any university, especially with how good our education program is. So kids are going to get into, sometimes that's the way for them to get in the door teaching, is they're willing to coach. So no, it's like I said, there's too many to name, and I do know a few of them. And then Flip decided to have a little get together for me, and Medro came up, and that was really good to see him, knowing how busy he is with his boys and his job. And Wiggins was there. He was from the first team. I actually recruited him prior to being the head coach. And so no, there's a lot of good things. And I'll be honest with you, when I knew it was almost time to get out, as were guys I recruited, they're sending their kids here, and I'm thinking, boy, I must be getting old. So,
and there's a lot of guys too that were local guys, OVAC, Ohio Valley players, and they came to West Lib, had great careers here. Again, too many to name. I don't want to name just a few and leave off the others, so we'll just leave it at that. They know who they are.
We've always tried to recruit from the inside out. Was more of the philosophy, is to try to get the better players from the Valley that were worthy of scholarship money, offer them scholarship money, get them to play. But, that's sometimes the hardest thing to do because they don't know if they can get. I mean, one of my recruiting lines, I remember this in 2005 because I kept hearing them talk about West Liberty as the high school on the hill. And I'm thinking, well, I've been at different colleges. It's not like a high school.
Yeah.
And so that was one of my things. But you have to recruit from the inside out. And then from the inside out, we made it a point to try to recruit nationally or where we had ties coaching-wise and bring kids to network. So, I never forget. This is when I was an assistant. We had a bunch of kids that went out to California with a couple of the kids I brought in, from California from previous relationships that I had known coaching-wise. But then I started thinking, boy, they can go to California, they can know somebody. Then I started recruiting kids from Hawaii when I became a head coach. And you know how many kids have gone over to Hawaii to stay, so they have a network that whenever they go in the country, they know somebody.
Yep.
And that's hard to say when you go to a small regional college, and I thought we needed to give our players that experience, but we've always been from the inside out.
And another thing, another coach of yours, an assistant, longtime assistant coach, Monteroso, also retiring. It was great to see him. Congratulations to Coach Monteroso on a great coaching career as well. So many great things between you two.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of turned over the defense all to him because my love and passion has been offense. But and even though I loved coaching offense as a head coach, you had to be visible on both sides of the ball, and I tried to do that as much as possible. But at the end of the day, his loyalty, respect. I do have a good story on Coach Monteroso. We do a senior day every year where we've always wanted our seniors to know they're part of this program and institution. And I don't know who came up with the idea. I know it wasn't me, but it was somebody on staff, and I'm not sure if it was Forshee or Crow or Monty. And they say, hey, let's get their pictures and bury them on the 50. And so we did. Every year I had a ceremony, burned their pictures, explained to them they'd always be part of the program. Obviously, when we got turf, we had to move it where we had grass, so it's in the end zone. So, Monty knew he was coaching in his last game, and he wanted to say something to the team, so he burnt his pictures, and he thanked all the kids. And then he got to me, and he said, I'd like to thank Coach Wiley. And he had most of the kids in tears. He goes, he's been like a brother to me. And then he started in with, and he's been a father figure to me. And it was dead quiet, and I had to chirp up and say, well, it's kind of hard to be your dad when you're older than I am. And then the kids started laughing. I said, they were like, what? I said, yeah, Monty's like 4 years older than me. And here's the thing, for him on Saturday, he got to go out. All his family came back, went out with a win. I'm sure they didn't want to give up 67 points defensively, but the big thing is they held them to 1 point. That's what I told them. They were 1 point less than us. That's a win. Yeah. But, his grandkids were here, and the big thing, it was his birthday. And so he's coached for me for how many years? I never knew when his birthday was. And so then I'm sitting there thinking, I go, well, how many times did we play on his birthday and I never said happy birthday? Or how many times that, so, and like I said, that's why I thought maybe I got too focused on the kids and players and I took some of the coaches for granted maybe as far as, okay, they're going to get it done and this, let me focus on, hey, but you guys got to go to classes. The college isn't easy. It's, it's more about the studying and getting the work done than it is about retaining the knowledge sometimes, so.
Well, Coach, you had a tremendous career here at West Liberty University. I can't say enough about what you were able to do here. I know we talked to Dr. McCullough during the basketball broadcast, and he said that your fingerprint is on so many things around campus, and I'd have to agree, whether it be stadiums, turf, other facilities here on campus, and even touching the lives of so many people, not only your athletes. So a huge thank you. If I can give one from the whole university and community of West Liberty, we cannot thank you enough for the service that you've given us for pretty much your entire adult life, it feels like.
Yeah, and I've been fortunate that, in this day and age, coaches just move around from place to place. But, part of my interview process was, all right, can you raise the money? I didn't know if I can raise the money, but I did say I could try. And I was just here at the right place at the right time that Mr. and Mrs. West, Bucky and Joanne Koff, a bundle of people that were willing to not only give to the institution, but it was more about the student athletes than it was West Liberty itself, is to have an effect. And Mr. West always said, he goes, when you ask me for something or bring me a proposal, make sure it benefits West Liberty. There's a return on his investment. So everything that we've done here, we were able to show him a return on investment. And unfortunately, Mr. West passed a couple years ago, and Mr. Koff passed about a year and a half, 2 years ago. And so, we're going to have to find somewhat new people to get interested, to have an effect on a young man or a young woman's life. I mean, it's, if you look at the projects we're able to do, first it started with turf on the practice field so we can practice. That opened up the practice field to build the softball field. Then we went to the lights, then we went to the stadium, and then the soccer field, and then the last thing we did was the weight room, and it was a combination. I was able to raise the money, and some people in some other sports were able to talk to Panhandle and get them to donate their services so they can have a marquee place to show off, in which it is a marquee place. And so, but the bottom line is everything that my wife and I and my family and donors have done is to have effect on the student athlete's life, and make it a positive. And it reaches out so much more just to the student athletes, because when the general students come on campus, the first thing they see is, if they come on the south end, the first thing they see is the dorms and the football field. You go on the north end, the first thing you see is the soccer and track and the buildings up there. So, somebody once told me that your athletic facilities at a small school is the front porch of your university. And, I'm not going to take all the credit for it, because without Gary and Flip and Bucky and Joanne, we wouldn't have been able to do anything. And so, but I was very fortunate to be here at a time where their philanthropy and their heart and what they've visioned for the institution, a lot of times life is about being in the right place at the right time. And hopefully West Liberty can sustain or find new donors, because if you're not constantly trying to build and get better, then status quo doesn't win you very much.
Well, again, Coach, thank you so much for all the sacrifices you gave everyone here at West Liberty. It will be a long, long time before the name Roger Wiley isn't said on this campus at some point in some time. Again, thank you so much for what you did, and for Teresa, Gretchen, and myself, all the broadcast students we've ever had, we can't thank you enough.
Yeah, and I thank you guys. This is a wonderful thing that you guys do here at a small college to get it out. And I wish we could do more and have the students on there, but probably you're going to hear, well, thank God he's gone. No.
Again, thank you so much, folks at home. Hope you watch this one with great joy, and hopefully you watch this one over and over again to see the final time Coach Wiley will do a coacher show with us here on Topper Station. Again, thank you to Teresa and everyone else that helped us out with this show, and Roger Wiley, give him one final send-off. Thank you all for watching this segment with Coach Wiley. We'll be back in just a little bit with some other coaches here from West Liberty University. But again, Coach Wiley retiring, his final coaches show. Thank you, Coach, and we'll be right back on Inside Hilltopper Athletics.
From humble beginnings in 1837, West Liberty University has been home to thousands of students. Whether you're a recent high school graduate or looking to complete a college degree later in life, starting your educational career at West Liberty University will be the catalyst for your future. This is a place where you will discover who you are and where you belong, surrounded by lifelong friends and a supportive faculty and staff. Start your journey home at westliberty.edu.
Welcome back to Inside Hilltopper Athletics. One final thank you and goodbye to Coach Roger Wiley. Tremendous guy throughout my time here at West Liberty, and I cannot say enough about him. I'm sure we'll say a lot more about him as the years go on with football, it'll be hard not to mention West Liberty football without Coach Roger Wiley. Well, we move on to our indoor track new head coach just hired, Michael Trax. Welcome to West Liberty.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be up on campus finally.
Well, indoor track, you have outdoor track as well, I believe.
Yes.
So back-to-back sports. First off, let's just get to know Coach Michael Trax a little bit. Where did you grow up, and what kind of sports did you play when you were growing up?
Yeah, I'm from Canonsburg, or the Washington area in Pennsylvania. Sports, my dad made sure I played almost every sport, going from soccer to football, but primarily it was basketball my whole life. Then kind of ran track in high school to kind of, excel my skills in basketball, but just fell in love with track. So I continued with track. After I went to Kennemack High School, Kenny McMillan. After I graduated, went to Waynesburg University to continue running track and field.
What were your events in track?
I was a jumper, so I did the high jump, long jump, and triple jump. I sprinted occasionally if they needed to, but primarily triple jump was my strong suit.
So growing up in Canonsburg in that area, I got to assume, I could be wrong, but got to assume the Pittsburgh professional sports were big for you growing up?
Oh, yeah, bleed black and gold. Yep.
So it's very fitting that you're here at West Liberty in the black and gold.
Yes, I have a lot of clothes that already matches the school colors, so be perfect.
We say that about certain athletes for different teams across campus, men's and women's that are from Pittsburgh. They just look right in the black and gold.
Right.
It fits. What other kind of sports did you, I know you did track and you loved that. Were there any other sports that you truly had a passion for?
Basketball. Okay. I played basketball in high school up to my junior year, and then just stepped away and just focused more on track. Just fell in love with it. Just more for me at that time. Played basketball since I was in second grade, so I kind of just got burned out a little bit. Just found a new passion. I just went after that. But those are the only two sports I played in high school.
Well, you've picked a great place to work at because our men's and women's programs for basketball are not too shabby. You'll enjoy watching those games.
Yes, I remember in high school I went to a basketball camp here at West Liberty. So it's kind of funny being back here, being the head coach for the track and field program, going through and visiting back when I was a sophomore in high school.
And not trying to age you or release that info quite so much, but who was the head coach here when you were doing the camps?
I can't remember. It was such a long time ago. I just can't remember. Once you're at Waynesburg, not that you were in broadcast, but you said you wrote for the newspaper, I believe. Yes. Yep. I wrote for the sports section. I was a sports management major, so it wasn't my kind of focus, but I took one sports writing class, and the guy asked if I wanted to write. I did really well and just pursued it. So I got to interview all the coaches around campus, from football to women's soccer and volleyball. It was a really neat experience. We've
got a great women's volleyball program here as well. It'll be fun to watch. If you ever want to do any broadcast things like this, if you ever need somebody to do color comment, just let me know.
Yeah.
We might be able to work some things out and see if you enjoy doing this stuff or not. I know you like writing, so we'll see how you like the broadcast stuff. When we get to track now, what kind of positions did you have before you got to West Liberty and some of the coaching experience that you've got?
Right, so I started coaching at Waynesburg, kind of my final year. I was an admissions counselor at Waynesburg, so I got to kind of volunteer there. And I was actually a volunteer coach here at West Liberty last year. Okay. So I was already familiar with the team. We had some success, especially in the jumps area. That's where I mostly focused last year at West Liberty, was the jumps program. So pretty much long and triple, and also high jump. Before that, I was kind of admissions counselor, so I got a lot of recruiting experience. And then I went, kind of pursued the business area a little bit while I worked downtown, BNY Mellon, in the city of Pittsburgh.
Okay. We've have some experience with some former recruiting people here at West Liberty, too, that were broadcast people. You kind of remind me of Kyle Patrick a little bit, if folks at home, Topper Nation, remember a ways back. So it kind of fits pretty well. Now, since you have that recruiting ability and just knowledge in general, what are some of the kind of attributes you look for in student athletes to join your track program?
Yeah, just make sure they fit on the campus, kind of like the missions, values, and make sure they also click with the team. Because not everybody clicks and matches, but you want to make sure that cohesiveness is on the team. So bringing them up onto campus is very key, interacting with student athletes, maybe watching a practice, see if they like it, because sometimes it might be too big for an athlete, for a prospective athlete. So you just got to kind of have that feeling, but always make sure they're hardworking, good grades, make sure intelligent, often on the track and also off the track as well.
And I know I'm just assuming here that you've worked with Coach Gwynn before, and as assistants, I think.
Yeah, last year. Yep, I got to meet Coach Gwynn last year. Traveled all over to nationals, and also just the conference meets. Got to hang out and got to know each other more.
And now you've got to share the distance runners with them with cross country.
Yes.
One of my favorite things to ask Coach Gwynn about, just because it is cross country and it's outdoor course conditions and the weather and things of that nature, we don't have to worry about that with indoor.
Right, yeah, everything is perfect conditions all the time. The only thing you really have to worry about is how dry it gets in indoors. So you have to make sure the athletes stay hydrated, but no snow to worry about, no rain, so it's perfect.
We need to get a huge humidor in here and make sure the air's nice and
Right.
not dry.
Exactly.
As we move on, we go to some of the athletes that you have right now. Last year, the Toppers had some tremendous indoor athletes. Kiara Ross, Hunter Patterson, Isaac Tavo. Isaac and Hunter just coming off of football for West Liberty. So a lot of very good talent on this team already.
Yes. Yeah, a lot of returners. We're very excited for them to get back to work. A couple freshmen, too, I think can make some noise this year in the conference. But we'll see. But we're very excited for Kiara Tavo and Hunter Patterson to come back and kind of help the underclassmen as well with their training and kind of help them excel in their areas.
And then I know we've got the Youngstown State, I believe. Was that the first icebreaker? Is that the first meet or competition of the year?
Yeah, it'll be the first meet. It'll be Friday, December 5th. So Hilltoppers will be out there breaking the ice, hence the meet name. So we're very excited for it. The kids are itching to finally compete.
I can only imagine what it's like, especially now that the weather's getting a little colder. It's not just that time of year when it comes to school. Like, okay, this is usually when track starts. You can feel it in the air, literally
Yes.
up here on the hilltop. So I can't imagine how excited the kids are to get going, especially after the season that they had last year, knowing that they can build upon it this season.
Right, yeah. We're very excited to build upon that, add a little bit extra. I think it'll be people will be surprised how well we will do this year.
I guess we'll give it a little bit of time before I ask about outdoor, just that transition as well. I know last year in doing these shows for indoor, it seemed like the indoor season flew by in a heartbeat.
Yes, yeah, it's one after the other. After December 5th, the first one, then Christmas break comes up, all the breaks. We don't compete again until sometime in January. But after that, it's nonstop. It's every weekend. Maybe one weekend we're off, maybe before conference. But it's a rolling schedule from even to outdoor. Maybe 1 or 2 weeks off before we compete again.
And that's the most incredible thing to me, at least for this sport and some other sports as well, where you've got one competition and then the big, long holiday breaks. Then you got to get right back into it. And I would not have done well in sports like because I would have eaten so much over those holiday seasons.
Yeah, it's definitely hard. You got to make sure athletes are disciplined, and it's hard. Thanksgiving come up, all the turkey, ham, all that. It's hard, but we give them workouts to do and make sure they stay in a little bit of shape and try to burn off all the turkey they eat.
Well, Coach, you don't have to worry about that any longer for yourself. You can have all the turkey and mashed potatoes you want.
I'm excited for that.
Well, Coach, thank you so much
Yes.
for joining us on the show for the first one. I'm going to enjoy talking to you all year long. I know these student athletes that you have are great. You've got a great team, and it's going to be fun to see you as a head coach instead of just the jump coach and an assistant. So good luck this year, and I know the Toppers are going to do great.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Folks, stick around. We'll be right back for more Inside Hilltopper Athletics.
Okay, you guys are clear.
Great job, Coach.
Thank you.
From humble beginnings in 1837, West Liberty University has been home to thousands of students. Whether you're a recent high school graduate or looking to complete a college degree later in life, starting your educational career at West Liberty University will be the catalyst for your future. This is a place where you will discover who you are and where you belong, surrounded by lifelong friends and a supportive faculty and staff. Start your journey home at westliberty.edu.
Welcome back to Inside Hilltopper Athletics. Joining me for this segment, head coach of men's soccer here at West Liberty, Sean Regan. Coach, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, buddy.
This has been a tremendous year for West Liberty soccer. You kind of got this program in its infancy, and you have gotten this to the point where you're making the playoffs on a somewhat consistent basis. And again, you had to take on Concord. This was a team that was ranked in the top 10 in the nation, the third time playing them.
Yeah.
The rubber match,
Yes.
as you could say. And a tough one in this one. The Toppers would fall 3-2, but it seemed like the Toppers had an answer for just about everything Concord was doing in this one.
Yeah, I mean, they threw a lot at us. We knew from being down there compared to our home game, totally different experience. They have a really, really small field. They recruit to a certain style, the way they played, and They kind of took advantage of the 2 long throws on, to score 2 of their 3 goals, and one was a free kick. But I think we played the better of the soccer between the 2 teams. We were able to get 2 goals, but their just experiences took over a little bit. Having been to the conference final last year and been to the NCAA tournament, and a very, very heavy grad student senior class, where we were mostly freshmen and sophomore. They just kind of had that a little bit more. And then they had a very, very special player. Basu scored, I think, 14, 15 goals this year. Was a handful on the night as well.
Well, as you said, this Topper team is very young. You've got a lot of players coming back. And I guess I'm not trying to put too much on you or put too much emphasis on next year and, hey, they should be this much better because blah, blah, blah. But is it that kind of feeling with the team and maybe even around the conference where the talk is, hey, these Toppers in a year or two are going to be really, really difficult to deal with for everyone?
Yeah, the expectations are higher now. I think we kind of set the bar, knowing we're a top 4 team. And, now I think we have to show it. And obviously everybody's going to be kind of gunning for us in that area. There's still just a lot of parity in the conference. I would say that Concord and Charleston will still be the top 2. But between us and Point Park, Frostburg, D&E, there's very, very, very little between us. And I think this year the difference was experience, with all 3 of those teams having heavy seniors and grad students. At times, that's kind of why we lost or drew against them or got some points, to be honest with you. But now that we're going to be a little bit more mature, returning pretty much everybody, I expect those results to flip. And I think the guys are now seeing that the pressure is going to be on them to kind of perform.
From the outside looking in, it looks like this team has gotten past the point of finding its own identity, and now throughout the year has been realizing, okay, with this team, this is how they play, and this is how we have to operate to be. And it seems like it is just on top of each other over and over and over again. It's happening, and these Toppers are getting to that point where it really will be difficult for anybody because it doesn't matter what type of style you play. West Liberty will be ready.
Yeah, we wish the season was still going, to be honest with you, because I think we really caught our flow the last 3 weeks of the season. Because it took a while to build some chemistry with being so young and new guys coming in. The first 4 to 5 weeks, we're kind of finding ourselves. But then after some good results and some tight losses to Concord and Charleston, we started to really believe in ourselves and calming down, and that's why we picked up some points at the end. So, I think we've kind of established a good rhythm, a good style, a lot of personnel that we're fighting for positions. So, we ended the season probably emotionally very high.
Yeah. Going back to the early years and with some of the leaders you had in the early days, compared to now with some of the leaders you have you seen much of a difference? Does it feel like these guys have a little bit more of belief nowadays?
Yeah, because the early leaders were all about morale. Yeah, because you're a new program, you're not expected to do much, so you knew you're going to have a lot more lows and highs. But the highs were going to be very, very big because they've never been accomplished before. So those captains and those leaders were there to steady the ship and make sure to tell the guys, we're the building blocks for the future. Where now our team and our leaders have, we're already established. Now we're trying to get to the next level, and it was really pushing ourselves in training sessions and games to be better on the day.
And it's still been, less than a decade that this program has been around or back at West Liberty. It feels like some of those rivalries are coming back. They're not just, hey, it's Fairmont and Wheeling just because of proximity and blah, blah. Other sports, they're rivals, so might as well be rivals in this too. It feels like there is an identity to West Liberty soccer, and there really is some rivalries blooming here.
Yeah, I think because, now that teams against us in the past were expected to beat us, but now that we're beating them and getting draws and all that stuff like that, it's now starting to be like, well, they're competitive. They're taking points off us. This is not good. So, not naturally we have the Wheeling rivalry, but I think at the same time that the schools around us, with Wesleyan and Frostburg and Point Park now, and especially probably more so D&E in a way, it's, hey, these guys are gunning for 3rd spot, 4th spot. This is where we've historically been over the past 4 or 5 years. We're really got to watch out for them.
And I didn't get a chance. You weren't here last week. Had an assistant come down and speak with us. I wanted to ask you specifically, getting that first playoff victory, being up at Point Park, and again, a somewhat young program, the first playoff. How did that feel, and how was the team atmosphere?
It was awesome. It was it's been my 7 years, so it felt like 7 years of work finally paid off, which was really cool. You kind of felt like a weight off your shoulders, and the guys were very emotional after the game. I was emotional after the game, so it was a really, really cool experience. And the to do it the way we did. You know, I mean, against Point Park, we'd beaten us twice in the season already. We had a point to prove. You know, I told the guys before the game, hey, they have beaten us twice. It's hard to beat a team 3 times this season because they're mentally are like, well, we should win. We've already won twice. Well, we had that mentality of, hey, we've lost these guys twice. You know, we have a point to prove. So when we came out and went up 3-0, it was just, wow. We played fantastic. You know, we rose to the occasion. So it was just everything clicked for us on that day.
It had to be an amazing feeling, and again, being at Highmark Stadium
Yep.
in Pittsburgh, and just the big city feel, and getting that type of victory, had to be a glorious ride home to West Liberty.
It was, yep, and we smashed Raising Cane's on the way home too as well, so that was a bonus.
Oh, that's hilarious. I would have given anything to be. I love those kind of bus trips for athletes, and those are the kind of memories that these guys will have
Oh, for sure.
for their entire lives. And for former athletes, know this doesn't matter what level you played at. At the end of the day, it's the camaraderie.
Yep.
It's the locker room talk. It's all the little bus rides, everything that you miss more than maybe even playing the game.
Oh, yeah.
So those memories will last forever for a lot of these guys. We talked about the leadership and how things have changed from the beginning of this program. Let's talk about some of the assistant coaches
Yep.
as well. From when this program started to now, again, it was about building morale, making sure guys could do this and that just to get the program going. Now it really is about making sure and going out to win these games.
Yeah, you know, it was great for my 3 former GAs. They text me after the game about, well, congratulations, coach. You know, and I made sure that they knew that they were part of this program, you know, from the start. And then this year, probably for the first time ever, we have a true staff, which is awesome. You know, I mean, Zach Rycroft is a former player, stuck around, you know, doing his master's, has been an integral part of the team on the day-to-day side of things. Santi and Massey coming in as 2 GAs, one strength and conditioning goalkeeper. Santi's doing all the technical work and the scouting and all the fancy GPS stuff that I have no idea what to do. So it kind of made my job a little bit easier, and I could really focus on some more things that, you know, kind of were on the back burner for many, many years. So I think that also brought our team to the occasion, because now instead of just me and one assistant coach, we had 4 of us working. You know, so all the stuff that we were able to do with the video, scouting, GPS, weight room stuff, it just multiplied all that stuff. So I really think the guys really understood the hard work that we puts into the program, and that kind of really showed how well we played on the field with all that.
Well, Coach, I can't thank you enough. This is a bittersweet moment for me. It's our final show of the year.
We can do hockey talk.
That's what I was going to say. Let's do our analytics and see how many people watch this segment of the show every week. If it's more than the other, let's just bring Coach Regan back on. We can talk hockey. We can talk any sports we want to. I think we just have a good chemistry here for TV and broadcast. We got to find something. Unfortunately for this, though, talking men's soccer, we'll have to wait until the start of next school year. I guess it's going to be a long time. It didn't feel like it last year, so hopefully it's a quick pass this year as well. Again, thank you so much for taking your time out all year long to do this with us, and good luck in the off season with recruiting.
Appreciate it. Thanks for all you guys do for us.
Not a problem. Folks, stick around. We'll be right back for one more segment on Inside Hilltopper Athletics.
Okay, you're clear.
From humble beginnings in 1837, West Liberty University has been home to thousands of students. Whether you're a recent high school graduate or looking to complete a college degree later in life, starting your educational career at West Liberty University will be the catalyst for your future. This is a place where you will discover who you are and where you belong, surrounded by lifelong friends and a supportive faculty and staff. Start your journey home at westliberty.edu.
Welcome back to Inside Hilltopper Athletics. Joining us for this segment, head coach of women's volleyball here at West Liberty University, Mackenzie Johnson. Coach, welcome back.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Had a very good week last week. Friday night, we had a lot of basketball games to broadcast here at the ASRC, and at one point, you could just kind of feel it, the atmosphere changed in the arena, and you kind of look around. Luckily for us, it was a TV timeout, so you kind of look and you see nothing but a smile. Coach Johnson turns the corner. Everybody's giving her a hug. A huge win over Wheeling. You clinched the North Division Championship.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And what was that feeling like walking back into the ASRC?
I mean, I honestly, I didn't want to take the attention off the basketball game, but when I realized it was a timeout, I made sure everyone got their hugs and heard all the congratulations and just I love being able to come home to that and we're right up the road, we're 20-30 minutes away at Wheeling, so it's one of those rare moments where you get to come home and celebrate a win right away with your people.
Well, let's get to the game and what happened in this one. The Toppers, I believe 5 sets. What was it? 25-23, 22-25, 9-25, a tough one there. But after that, the Toppers came back 25-19 and then won 15-9. 250 people down there at the McDonough Center. The Toppers had 50 kills, 72 digs. Incredible night. Just overall, what was it like for the Toppers?
I think for us, it was definitely like an up and down battle. Wheeling is one of those teams where, they could take that first set, we could take that second set. You never really know what's going to happen. But I think our energy and just our determination during that match was a little bit different. We knew that, if we were able to, at least get a 3-way tie, we would take the overall seed number 1 going into the tournament. And that's something that we've talked about in the preseason. That's kind of been our goal is, going into the tournament better than we entered it last year. So going into that match, we went in with a lot of confidence. I think our team had a lot of confidence, but above all else, I saw a lot of underclassmen leaders kind of step up in those moments of maybe the unknown, kind of after dropping that third set, typically teams they would let that, kind of ruin their confidence. But we just kept going, and, the biggest thing is we know what we're capable of, even if nobody else in the room does.
And I think there's a lot of people out there that can look at this one game and see coming back after that third set. Only really good teams do that. And in the back, I don't want to jump ahead of things. It seems like championship teams or teams that are championship caliber are teams that do those kinds of things. Does this team believe they're championship caliber?
Absolutely. I think, we've come in with this week with a different level of focus. And, while some coaches are like, we should have that focus all season, better late than never, I always say. So just seeing their determination in the way that they're coming in the gym and being purposeful this week, it makes me really hopeful that we can get a championship this weekend.
In this one, Kudnick had 19 kills, 16 digs, totaling 21 points. Just tremendous. The Toppers, queens of the North. Call yourself Sansa Stark if you want to. You kind of taken over here. The Toppers, Dakota Kenny, also MEC Offensive Player of the Week for the second time this year. You let me know before the show she's 37 assists away from the West Liberty University career record, and she's not a senior.
No, she will be back for us next year, and we love that. She's a tremendous leader, and she's one of those setters that can adapt into a 6'2". She can adapt into a 5'1". She runs her offense super consistently and efficiently. She finds her hitters when they're on, and the biggest thing is she keeps tempo for us, and it really challenges the block and the defense on the other side of the net. So to see her be so close to a career milestone, and she still has a whole other season up on the Hilltop, she's definitely going to be one of those kids that's leaves her legacy in the program.
And talking about legacy here with this program in West Liberty versus Wheeling in volleyball for the last more than a handful of years, it's been a nice back and forth between Wheeling and West Liberty. Finally, West Liberty got over that hump. They got Wheeling in this one. Just kind of the feeling after that was over, and now that you're moving into the conference tournament, knowing, okay, we got that done, but there's still more work to do.
I think the biggest thing is, obviously Wheeling is a tough opponent, and, for anybody that they play, but it was almost like reassurance that I think our group needed, that we can compete with, regionally ranked teams, or we can compete with teams who have a history of success in their program. So I think it gave us the reassurance, but also the kind of the little bit of pat on the back there where we can kind of toot our own horn in that sense. But, they challenge us. Wheeling challenges us. Every team we play in the MEC challenges us. I think this year is, definitely one of those years where the MEC, the competition is definitely, heightening there, and the South is starting to pull their own weight down there. So it's definitely a lot more competitive in the MEC than it probably was in previous years.
Well, speaking of the South Division, that's part of who the Toppers will have to take on this coming Thursday at 2:30 p.m. The tournament will be played in Buchanan at West Virginia Wesleyan, but you will take on Concord, the number 4 seed from the South. What can we expect to see from them?
Yeah, so we've played Concord since I've been here first round. That's been our quarterfinal matchup. Doesn't matter if we're 1, 2, or 3. Apparently, it's kind of just destined to be. But they're an aggressive serving team. We did take a loss from them earlier in the season, so that's definitely kind of put a little chip on our shoulder there. Our girls are saying they're looking for revenge, but if we play our game, I think we'll be in a good position. But they're a tough serving team, and they found the floor a little bit more offensively than we did the last time we matched up against them. So they're definitely not an opponent to take lightly, but we're looking forward to taking care of business.
And that's kind of the I was going to ask that next. The mentality you kind of, again, you're getting too good at this show. You could host these if you wanted to, I think, at some point. That mentality of going like, we don't really care what happened before. We're just coming to win today, and we're going to win, and we're going to win tomorrow as well. That's what it feels like this team is doing.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, winning the day, winning the week. And I know when you're looking at, the weight of these potentially three next matches, it's, now we just have to win the day. So how are we going to show up today in practice? How are we going to show up tomorrow? So that we can show up our best on Thursday. But, it's always a next play, next ball, next match mentality. So, we're just hoping to stay 3 nights up there, or I should say down there.
The Rockefeller Center. Been there a handful of times, more than a handful of times over the years. Never for volleyball, though, I don't believe. So how is the atmosphere there? What kind of gym is that for volleyball?
It's definitely comparable to like a Wheeling's gym where you feel like the crowd's kind of right there. But I think this is the first time Wesleyan's ever hosted, so I imagine their crowd's going to be big. Us going down to the south, it's probably going to be a little bit more. What's the word I'm looking for? Maybe parents and spectators from the Southern Division team. So, but the MEC Championship atmosphere is always awesome. Whether it's teams cheering for other teams, maybe they don't want to play a certain team, or whether it's other parents cheering for other teams. It's a really good environment, and it's awesome. Our athletes get to be a part of that this week.
Well, Coach, good luck. Again, folks at home, that'll be Thursday at 2:30 p.m. If you're able to, get down to Buchanan. Again, the Rockefeller Center on the campus of West Virginia Wesleyan College. Get down there at Thursday, 2:30 p.m. as the Toppers will take on Concord, the 4 seed from the South. Coach, again, good luck.
Thank you.
Nothing but the best for you on the trip down there. Get some good food. Again, Buchanan,
Heck yeah.
I love that town.
Yeah.
If there was any little town in West Virginia, I would tell people not from here to go visit. It's
It's
Buchanan.
good food down there. We're looking forward to it.
Absolutely so. Good luck,
Thank
folks
you.
at home. Be sure to tune in. If you can't get down there, watch on the Mountain East Conference Digital Network. You make sure to watch the Toppers get an opportunity to win a Mountain East championship here coming up this week. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. We've got one more segment on Inside Hilltopper Athletics.
All right, you're clear.
Welcome back to Inside Hilltopper Athletics. Joining me for our final segment, head coach of women's soccer here at West Liberty, Pete McMenemy. Coach, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Since the last time we talked, we had a pretty big win against a pretty big rival. The Toppers needed a 2-goal victory over Wheeling to get into the postseason, and the Toppers delivered exactly that. You won 2-0 down at Bishop Schmidt Field. To have that kind of game, to get exactly what you needed to get into the postseason in enemy territory, I guess you could say, at their home field. How big was that for your team?
Massive. Obviously there's a lot of permutations that had to happen for us to be able to get into the conference tournament, and we were really good on the day. We were very disciplined. We go in level at half time, 0-0, nothing. It was quite cagey, nervy kind of affair for the first 45 minutes. And then in the second half, we kind of really asserted our dominance in the game, and we took some gambles because we knew we had to score 2 goals to even have a shot. So we kind of quite early in the second half, we took off 2 defenders and put on 2 forwards. So we were playing 4-2-4. So there was just 2 in the midfield and then 4 strikers on the pitch, and then. It paid off because 2 of our strikers scored. So and then it was a quick substitution to get the defenders back on and go back to kind of normal formation. So
We
quite
saw
hectic.
we saw that in a lot of basketball games over the weekend, guys making sure they're in and out substituting offense for defense and things of that nature. It's always great to see these things kind of come together. And again, we've kind of said her name all year long, Butera in the net. The goalkeeper did a tremendous job in this one, getting a clean sheet. Can you speak enough about her?
Yeah, great job by CC this year. I mean, she's a really strong goalkeeper for us. I think there's parts of her game that she's really improved coming out of her freshman year into her sophomore year. You know, her footwork, her ability to deal with high cross balls has really improved. There's obviously one or two things that she could still work on, and I think we've spoke about to her about one or two of those things that is going to be really important heading into this spring off season for us. And then she's somebody that really looks to play over the summer as well, so she's going to have opportunities to do that, I'm sure, with a team over the summer as well. So really excited for her to return next year, and I think she had a really stellar season for us.
And once this game at Wheeling was over and you're heading back up the hill, everybody knows that you're in now and you achieved what you needed to achieve to get the goal. What was kind of the atmosphere on the bus and as you got back here to campus?
Just really excited. I mean, we kind of, if you look at our season as a whole, there's a very kind of distinct split of when things started to kind of turn for us. And I think the ladies were just really happy that, honestly, they kind of managed to achieve it, where it maybe at times in the year it maybe looked like that was going to be difficult for us, and to get the opportunity to play in the tournament and compete for a championship is the bare minimum for our program. And thankfully this year we were able to turn things around and be able to have that opportunity. So everyone was just really grateful and thankful for the opportunity.
Well, the Toppers did get into the Mountain East Conference tournament. You went to play West Virginia State in the quarterfinals. This one, tough one for the Toppers, lose 1-0, but 11 saves for CC, and a great year in general for these Toppers. You got into the playoffs once again this year. Coach, you've done such a tremendous job since taking over, but in this final game, what was kind of the feelings afterwards?
Disappointing, because I thought that's almost as good as what we've played all year. We saved it for the, kind of the big occasion. And honestly, we really gave them a really tough game. And that's a team that they just got picked out the hat yesterday to play in the NCAA tournament. So, alongside Fairmont State. But that's a real tough team, and we really, really ran them close. I think we had a couple debatable decisions looking back that we maybe needed to go our way and they just didn't. But I think over the course of the whole game, we really, really ran them close, and we can be really proud of how our efforts were in that game, and just how we turned around the season, in the last 8 or 9 matches. So I'm really happy for the seniors, obviously, that they get that opportunity to kind of go out on their terms and on a high. We have a lot of new faces in this year, but a lot of people coming back for next year that we're really excited about. And, a lot of freshmen played this year, a lot of heavy minutes, maybe more than maybe what they themselves, maybe estimated to play. But I think that can only be a good thing, coming back for next year, having players with a lot of college experience heading into the spring season, and then obviously for next fall. So, excited already. We've just finished over a week ago or about 10 days ago, but now we're already looking ahead to next year. So that's there is no kind of rest period. You're already preparing for next year and already thinking about next year. So we got our schedule kind of finalised for next year in terms of conference opponents and stuff yesterday. So we're already looking ahead to next year.
Yeah, and again, I got to think some of the leaders on this team, knowing that it's been such a young team, some of those leaders might be a little younger than expected. And now that they get to come back, how do you expect them to keep that momentum as we head into next season?
So I think spring is obviously big for us. We do a lot of work in the spring. It's not like they'll have some well-earned time off between kind of now and January time when they come back for spring semester. But when we get back, it's right back to work, and we're hoping to maybe add some new faces, some experience via the transfer portal to the group. I think that's just how the way college sports is in general now. If you have an opportunity to add some experience to the group, I think you can, but it's got to be the right fit for us, and it's got to be players that are going to enhance the group that we have. So I think looking to do that in the spring, and then obviously playing summer soccer is so important for these girls. You know, the season's so condensed, and you're only playing 2.5, 3 months that competitive matches. So having a lot of these current players play over the summer is going to be really important for their growth coming back for next fall.
And it's always fun in the off season to talk recruiting and things of that nature. And again, not asking for specific details, but you got some eyes on some players?
Yeah, we have. I mean, we have some freshmen for next year that are already signed. So they signed obviously with the signing period opening recently. So they've already signed some good quality players coming in. Talking to a lot of players. I just think that's the way that it is. You need to, be open to kind of all options. There's a lot of exciting ones that I think if we can get, further down the stretch with them, that they would be really good additions to the group. But again, more so in the early stages of that, and but excited for it. I just got out last week. This past weekend I was in Richmond, Virginia for a big kind of national showcase event that they have there. So really excited by what I've seen with some of the players there. There's some players that are really eager to come to campus and visit and learn more about the program, which I think is really really beneficial for us. And I think that they would be really really good additions. So early stages with that, but I think that's the exciting part about finding players that you can identify that can really fit your group and what you're looking for. So.
Especially the way this group played this year, like you said, the last 8-9 games of this season, this team really, really came together. And it was awfully fun to see. And it was great getting to talk to you every week.
I appreciate it.
Can't thank you enough for being here with us every week and sacrificing some of your time to come do this with us. Again, next year, everyone should be on the lookout for these Lady Toppers. You had a tremendous year this year. Big wins versus rivals, having huge moments where you got exactly what you needed to get into the playoffs and things of that nature. Just it can only get bigger and better here at West Liberty, and I really see that in the future. Every season, it seems like you've taken this team to the next step.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it, and it's great to have a platform like this. Just to talk about women's soccer and to talk about the conference and just to kind of showcase some of these players and the qualities that they have. So I appreciate you guys having me on.
Not a problem, Coach. And again, thank you for being here all year with us, folks. That's going to do it for our show today. That'll do it for almost all of our fall sports as well. I'm having a problem speaking here today. Too much talking last week with all the games. But we will still have women's volleyball still to speak to. But for the fall sports, this is basically going to do it for us. And after this, we'll have the winter sports. We'll see when we start those up. But thank you for watching all fall long, and we will see you soon on another edition of Inside Hilltopper Athletics.
Okay, you guys are clear.
All right, awesome.